Let's talk about traits that make you more vulnerable to predators because we are living through the dark ages, the darkest ages for women in our recent timeline, given that we are noticing a significant rise in incel culture. We're seeing a growing shift in apathy towards women, which is resulting in higher rates of femicide, intimate partner violence, and all the other heavy ramifications that come as a result of misogyny, all of which is enacted, reinforced, and preserved by men. So I feel very keen to talk about this because there are still women who I meet in my day-to-day life who, just from being around their energy or even having a brief conversation with them, I can tell that there's some naivety. And I don't always associate naivety with stupidity, even though for the most part it could be argued that they are cousins of each other. But the reason why I don't necessarily always associate being naive with being stupid is because sometimes the smartest women tend to have blind spots when it comes to being more vigilant and adjusting their sails according to the wind. The wind being patriarchy, the wind being increased violence towards women, the wind being us living through a system and a society where people still want us to make excuses for men. People still want us to accommodate men at their worst, and people still insist that us expecting a return on the value we bring to men's lives is an act of violence, which is ridiculous. But regardless of it being ridiculous, that is still the predominant narrative in society, and there are consequences for women who refuse to follow the rules that have been assigned to us. Those rules being, you should be grateful if a man picks you, even if that man comes into your life when he is at his absolute worst. You should always aspire to be a man's desire. Meaning that if a man likes women who are not argumentative, women who are ready to split finances, women who are prepared to make it easier for men to access us at a discount, then that is what we ought to be, because that is the line we should fall into. And I just think all of it is bullshit. And we need to recognize when we are putting ourselves in danger. Danger isn't always wearing a short skirt at 11 p.m. at night, walking home on your own on a quiet street with barely any streetlights. Danger isn't always taking a shot from a glass where you did not see what was poured into it with your own two eyes. Danger is not always giving your phone number to the man in the street just to get rid of him without realizing that he can use the Monzo app to find your real name. And once someone finds your real, full government name, it won't be hard for them to find other personal information about you. So I'm sharing all those examples of danger to say that whilst all those examples I have just given are ways that we find ourselves in danger as women, there are other ways that we put ourselves in danger. And I'm going to use the keyword put, because when we are discussing traits and behaviours that make you more vulnerable to men, we have got to prioritize accountability in this discussion. Now, something that I need to remind you of before we dive deep into the meat and flesh of this is the truth will piss you off at first and then it will set you free. Okay? You might be pissed off at me at certain points in this episode. I always say, and I feel like I have to make this clear every time I engage in a conversation like this. That whilst my intention is never to be inflammatory and controversial for the sake of just saying things that's going to get people riled up and in turn create conversation and discourse online, which will result in engagement and activity on my page, the inherent nature of what I'm discussing will have a controversial undertone, because women sharing advice and ideas to other women about ways to fight against a system that was intentionally built to use us. Women sharing insight with other women on how to outsmart your oppressor. All of that is frowned upon. And all of that is seen as controversial because the pushback is going to be, what about men's mental health? Now, just to give you a quick disclaimer and to skip past that rubbish, I don't give a fuck. Just like how men don't give a fuck about women's mental health. Now, what's interesting about women not giving a fuck about men's mental health is when women don't give a fuck about men's mental health, that does not reflect in the policies that affect decisions that men can make about their bodies. When women don't give a fuck about men's mental health, men's fertility and reproductive rights are not confined into a box that's controlled by women. When women don't give a fuck about men's mental health, men are not systemically stopped from having access to healthcare and resources that are healing for them or beneficial for them. When women don't give a fuck about men's mental health, that does not result in men being child brides married to adult women. When women don't give a fuck about men's mental health, that does not result in men being banned from having access to basic elementary education, unlike certain countries where women and young girls are banned from education, banned from being visible. This is a very real thing. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm not going to be a men's mental health sympathizer. There is enough of that going around, and majority of it is mollycoddling. I'm not saying that men's mental health is unimportant. I'm saying that men's mental health is not a priority to me. Men's mental health will become a priority to me when women's mental health becomes a priority to everyone. And for women's mental health to be a priority to everyone, we're going to need to see an end to patriarchy. We're going to need to see a complete cease of misogyny. We're going to need to see those femicide statistics go from whatever the staggeringly high amount is to zero. We're going to need to see a world where women are humanized in full and encouraged to dream as big as men are encouraged to dream, without there being ramifications and consequences for us daring to outshine a man. So until all of that is reset and women can genuinely live in peace, joy and happiness without worrying about our safety at the hands of men, it's fuck men's mental health. Now, anyway, as I was saying, focusing on the conversation to do with us remaining accountable and me saying the truth will piss you off at first and then it will set you free. I probably already pissed you off in that little conversation we just had about me not regarding men's mental health and not prioritizing it because they don't give a fuck about us and they would leave us for dead if they could, which they always do anyway. But the only reason why they haven't killed us all is because they need our vaginas for reproductive reasons and for recreational purposes, i.e. using us as orgasm banks. Anyway, the truth will piss you off and then it will set you free. Accountability is going to be the anchor in this conversation here. Let's jump right in. Traits that make you vulnerable to predators. Number 1, you're too empathetic. You're so empathetic that it's becoming pathetic, girl. It's funny how the word pathetic isn't empathetic. There's a clue in that word, isn't there? Now, I'm not shaming empathy because empathy is the foundation for intelligence. You cannot be an emotionally intelligent person without being empathetic, but it's about understanding there's a time and a place for certain people and certain situations to be allocated your empathy. The main reason men are able to take advantage of vulnerable women is because we are too empathetic. And men usually target empathetic women. There is a reason why they reinforce empathy as a trait that they prioritize and value in women. Because when you are more empathetic, you're more likely to make excuses for that person. So when we think about scenarios and examples where we are empathetic towards men, we can refer back to this men's mental health thing that is currently bubbling back to the surface now that there's a lot of talk about, oh, men are lonely. Good. I think loneliness is a reasonable outcome for being shit people who kill women. I think that loneliness is probably you escaping the fullness of the consequence you're actually supposed to be dealing with. Because people who kill women on a mass scale and systemically normalize that deserve a lot more than loneliness. They deserve to live even worse realities than just being lonely. But it's very amusing and impeccably ironic to see that men are really pushing this "we're so lonely" propaganda. Because when you think of somebody who is lonely, what feelings do you associate with loneliness? You associate that with sadness, right? You associate that with, oh, this person is a person we're going to feel sorry for. Because when you have felt lonely, it's not been a nice place to be. But what happens is when a woman comes across a man who uses the "I'm so lonely, oh, nobody wants to be around me, no one wants to listen to me talk about my feelings," well, they target women who want to listen to them. They target women who want to enable them. They target women who lead with empathy over rationale. And I think that two things can be true at once, right? Now, many of you might disagree with me when I say this, and that's fine. But I'm actually a very empathetic person. I am so empathetic that I have had to manually train myself out of being that way because it was not doing me any favors. In fact, as a firstborn daughter, and many firstborn daughters will relate to this, especially if you are the firstborn of parents who came to another country to have you and raise you. You understand the pressure. You understand that you have been thrust into a role as the firstborn daughter to anticipate other people's needs, to make excuses for your parents' behaviour that often resulted in you feeling neglected or harmed. So that already becomes the undertone of your perspective when you are observing and dealing with men. You're more than likely going to be like, oh, he's been trying to apply for jobs and he's felt rejected, and I can see that that's really taken a hit on his self-esteem. Oh, I feel really bad for him. I just want to nurture him. I just want to support him. I just want to be an example in his life that good things can happen to him because he deserves good things. And, you know, as a woman, if I was in that situation, I would want someone who treats me the way I'm treating him. This is the thing, though. Men don't look at us in that way. Men don't operate with us in that way. Men don't observe us being in a situation and think, oh, she's having a really hard time. She's experiencing such loneliness and she's really struggling. If I was in that situation as a man, you know, I'd really want X, Y, Z. So I'm going to be that for her. No. The only times when men suddenly start to do that whole, oh, if I was in her situation, I'd want X, Y, Z, is when they're love bombing you. That's why. When you're in an emotionally turbulent place, you are more vulnerable to predators. Men are predators. You're more vulnerable to predators. That whole, oh, I'm empathetic, I'm a nice person. I'm going to show him that the world is actually a kind place. Okay, well, he's about to show you just how unkind the world is, and you're about to learn the lesson of your life. But the wickedest thing about this is that most of you don't learn your lesson. What I see a lot of women doing is they take on this broken woman narrative because so many men have used them, manipulated them, and drained them dry into a husk. And instead of for them to learn their lesson, they're like, oh, I'm just such a nice person and everything bad happens to me. And I'm just going to listen to sad music to further reinforce this really sad environment that I found myself in. And I'm only going to talk to women who enable me and tell me, you know what, that's on him. Like, he totally missed out. Okay, he's going to have to live with the shame of being a horrible person who took advantage. It's like, men don't see themselves in that way. Men don't have that internal dialogue of like, I took advantage of a woman's kindness. I'm not a very good person for doing that. Men don't see themselves in that way. They don't have the moral compass that you have. Gosh, man. I could spend forever talking about empathy and all the reasons why it gets women in trouble. Because I'm not saying that you should stop having empathy for people. Because like I said, you may not believe it, you may not agree because I'm so cutthroat apparently, according to many people who say that I speak in a very cold way. I'm a deeply empathetic person, and that's why I'm able to read people's behaviour, especially men. I can tell what's going on very early on, and I give them measure for measure. I'm the person that you come to when you're ready to approach the final boss. Yeah? And when I say final boss, I simply mean the final boss, as in the woman who none of your tricks will work on, because I'm already 5 steps ahead of you. I don't fear being alone, so you can't really use a polished PR version of a relationship to try and trick me. It's not going to work. You met me on the wrong side of my 30s, girl. Well, I'm 30 years old, but basically, you've met me on the wrong side of my life. If you'd met me this time 5 years ago, yeah, maybe your love bombing would have got me. But prefrontal lobe, fully developed now. This is it. But yeah, I consider myself the final boss. And that's not to say that I have reached the peak of my evolution. It just means that when men try to do things that usually works on other women, it doesn't work on me. Because I've reached a place of evolution that I'm very proud of because I worked really hard to get here. Now, another trait that makes you vulnerable to predators is you're so ready to help. You're so ready to be resourceful. You're so ready to help a man build. You're so keen and enthusiastic to fan a man's flame. And that just gives off insecurity. When men see that trait in you, they can just tell that you're insecure because you associate being useful and helpful with you being lovable. And it's similarly a firstborn daughter thing, but I wouldn't limit it to just firstborn daughters because living in a world as a woman where certain expectations are reinforced to groom you into being a mule for men, it's not surprising that most women try to do that whole like, oh, let me just be helpful. Let me show him that I am so useful so that he's going to reward me with a relationship. He's going to reward me with a ring. He's going to reward me with love. Very interesting that you associate a relationship with being rewarded. God, I'm scared. What do you mean? It's rather peculiar that you associate a ring with a reward. You associate being loved with being rewarded. Why is it a reward for a man to love you? Why is it a reward for a man to select you for partnership? The word reward is a very specific word, and I hear it often. It's a Freudian slip that I often come across in my comments from women who see me talking about marriage and how I'm not marrying if there's no money involved. And I'm not marrying if there's no property, land and assets being put in my name. And they're like, oh, but like, you know, if I meet a man who I just really love and I have really shown up for him and I've been a good partner, I would hope that he would reward me with a ring. And I'm like, girl, You see, it's in the language that we use in our day-to-day lives. That's where we hand our power away. What do you mean reward with a ring? Why is companionship seen as a reward to you? Why is an engagement proposal seen as a reward? Because a reward implies that you've had to earn this thing, and you finally receiving that reward in the form of a ring, for example, is a signifier of this achievement. You have achieved being useful to a man, and now I hereby bestow upon you the grand reward prize of a ring. Because to view partnership with a man as a reward places men on a pedestal. What exactly is the reward here? Because the only reward that I think of is financial reward. Now, I would be very open to a man rewarding, even though I don't like that word, but let's entertain this word. I would be open to receiving financial reward from a man over, he's saying he wants to marry me. Because look, if you're saying you want to marry me, that means you're saying that you want me to be your legal beneficiary financially. If you're saying you want to marry me, that means you're saying that you want to put property and land in my name. Do you get? Like, I don't take the gesture of a man saying, one day I want you to be my wife. That's not a compliment. If you're broke, that's not a compliment. If you're still building, that's not a compliment. Come back when you've built and let's see if I'll still be interested in you. Let's hope I'll be interested in you. Let's hope that what you've built has produced enough for me to be interested in. This is how I view men. This is how I talk to men. This is how I think about men. I think about them as people auditioning for the grand spot in my life. If you don't meet the criteria, babes, I'm not hiring you. You know, the other day, I was having a conversation with a really beautiful lady who I'm friends with. And she has a boyfriend who I believe she's been with for like maybe 4 years or something like that. And it's the typical British, I should even say just European style of relationship. You know, they're splitting expenses and he's supportive of what she does for a living. You know, like it's on paper, there's nothing remotely wrong with the relationship. Like there's nothing alarming. But we got into this really healthy debate, me and her, where she was intrigued by my outlook on dating and the topic of money came up. And after she explained to me that, you know, she splits things with her boyfriend and there was a period where she was out of work for maybe like 6 months and her boyfriend offered and insisted upon him taking care of the bills while she just finds her feet. And she was saying that she felt so nervous about taking him up on his offer to pay the bills while she finds her feet. And her reasoning for feeling nervous was because, well, isn't that going to put the power in his hands? Now, my response was, yeah, but like, what's the boyfriend for? Like, if you're dating a man who loves you, him doing the right thing would be if you're in a situation where for 6 months you're out of work, he can still carry the remaining financial weight. He's a man. What else is the man there for? You're telling me you're feeling guilty about that. You don't want him to abuse you. If you think that your boyfriend is going to financially abuse you if you're out of work for 6 months, then that's not a man you should be dating. Because the same way you guys love to defend broke men and say, oh, not every broke man is going to be dull to date and waste your life and drain you, is the same way not every man who is financially in a position to support you is going to financially abuse you, right? So in that discussion where she was saying that she felt nervous to take him up on his offer, she eventually took him up on the offer and it still motivated her to quickly get back into work, which they're back to splitting bills. Hooray for them, I guess. And I only say that very sarcastically because if you see this woman, she's stunning. Stunning or not, yeah, because stunning is so subjective, but she's stunning, period. She's got no business paying bills. You're living with a man. He should be paying the bills. You should be using the money that you're making from your own job, which I genuinely believe that women should always have their own source of income, but men are there to multiply that source of income. Men are also a source of income. Okay? And people feel uncomfortable about this. And this is what makes you guys vulnerable to predators. Because when you have this mindset of like, oh, I don't want to be taken advantage of financially, so I'm just going to split bills. You're still being taken advantage of financially though, because the disposable income he now has as a result of not pulling his weight as a man is going towards women who you never know who they're going to look like. You don't know who those women are, but he's sending money to women. He's spending his money on shit that if you were to find out, whoo, girl, ask me how I know. Anyway, in this conversation, we reached a point of debate where somehow the topic of what if he, no, she asked me about like, oh, so my perspective on dating men with money. And I said, yes, absolutely. And if that man were to lose all his money, he loses me too. And she was like, what? Like I could see her face just puzzled as I said, if I'm dating a man who has money and he loses all his money, he loses me. She was like, yeah, but surely that's a man you love. That's your partner, right? I nodded in agreement, yes. And to that I said, well, surely I'm his partner. He loves me, right? And based on his love for me, he wouldn't put himself in an irresponsible situation where he would lose all his money. Because what I noticed that happens to me a lot is I encounter conversations with women where they really love to throw these what ifs at me, these really big what ifs. And the intention behind the what if is to try and catch me out to see if I'll concede. So one of the big what ifs they love to throw at me is, well, what if the love of your life is actually broke? It's like, well, he wouldn't be the love of my life. Next caller. They want me to say, oh, that's a tricky one. You can't help who you love. Well, if the love of my life happens to be a broke man, then I guess I'm going to be the broke man. No, that's not going to be the answer I'll give you because that's not who I am. I wouldn't fall in love with a man who can't impress me. If a man has not built the thing he's supposed to be building, I won't be looking at him romantically. That doesn't mean that he's not objectively deserving of love. It means he's not deserving of my love. He doesn't qualify to play a role in my life. Okay? Now, the next what if that I get a lot that we just discussed is, what if the man you're with has got money, he loses all his money? What kind of scenario would a man be in where he loses all of his money? Do you know how crazy that is to lose all of your money? Now, let me tell you what happens that will lead to you losing all of your money. Gambling, drug addiction, illegal forms of income, having a botched method of keeping track of your money, all of which can be avoided. You can avoid that by not having a drug addiction, i.e. not experimenting with drugs, because it's a very specific choice to go down that lane if you decide to become a drug addict who was not a drug addict before. It's a very specific choice to go into gambling when you know you have priorities to attend to because you love the people in your life and you're not going to put yourself in that position. It's a very specific choice to suddenly stop keeping track of your accounts, even though you have an accountant who you're accountable to. So when I think of scenarios where people have been rich and lost their money, it's usually down to one of those things. Now, most people who have money and have had money for a long time, whether it's generational or whether it's them having worked really hard and have created a method of sustaining their money, they know how to keep their money. Now, secondly, to that point, the man who loves me wouldn't put himself in a position to lose his money because he knows, yes, that if he loses his money, he loses me. There are consequences for losing your money. Like you get your house repossessed, right? You lose the house. You lose me too because I'm not going to live below a standard that is tolerable for my life. Just like how if you are employed and for whatever reason, your job now tells you, yeah, we're not going to be able to pay you anymore because we've had to give a pay rise to other staff members who have a bigger role in the company. So yeah, would you still be happy to receive significantly less income? Would you stay in that job? Or scratch that. If your job was just not even able to pay you anymore, are you going to stay in that job, or are you going to be like, well, I'm going to look for another job? Because why would I stay in a job that's not paying me? Now, I know that the instant rebuttal, I can see you forming your finger to come and argue with me. Yeah, but a relationship is not a job. It doesn't matter, because an investment of my time is an investment of my time, whether it's a job or whether it's me investing it in a man. And my time is worth whatever I say it's worth. So if I say that my time is worth the standard of financial security that I'm used to experiencing with this man, and he decides to drop that standard, he has accommodated the possibility that I might leave him, and he's made peace with that. So he's okay with me leaving him. Then I'm going to do the honors and leave. You guys make yourselves vulnerable to predators because you're too understanding and you're too ready to stick with a man through his stupid decisions. A man who is prepared to put himself in a position to lose all his money is also prepared to abuse you. You don't know those things are interlinked. There's a link there somewhere. And no, I'm not going to elaborate. Now, another trait that makes you vulnerable to predators is you're too nice. You are too nice. Some of you are too nice. You're too ready to talk to strangers. It's crazy, yeah? On the way to this recording studio that I'm sat in today, I was minding my business. Headphones on. Mind you, I have AirPod Maxes, the ones that cover your whole ear. Yeah? Had those on, listening to my music. And I'm on the platform waiting for the train to arrive. In the side of my eye, I see a young, somewhat good-looking black man walking towards me. But I don't think anything of it because I know it's not me you're about to approach. It's 11 a.m. What do you want? Anyway, he lightly taps my arm because I could see in the reflection of the glass of the barrier that stops you from falling onto the train tracks, basically. Could see in the reflection of the glass that he was muttering words to me, but because I'm wearing my headphones and I can't hear him. So he tapped me. In a very irritated way, lifted one ear of the headphone and looked at him. He was like, do you remember me? I said, no, with the straightest face. Because right now I'm on my period, okay? I'm on day 1 of my period. I'm not in the mood. Men should not be talking to me. What do you want? I'm bleeding. What do you want? He's like, oh, I'm that guy. I don't know if you remember. I'm that guy who I was meant to send you money. This is a real conversation, guys. So the context here is, I believe he lives in the same area as me. And because of that, we share the same train station and we have the same supermarket in common. So occasionally we've walked past each other, but his face is not memorable to me, but obviously I'm memorable to him. So he was like, oh, I'm that guy who I said I was going to send you money. Then I was like, did you send me money? He started muttering, no. I was like, how much did you send me? He was like, oh no, it's not that. So you didn't send me money. And then as he was muttering, I said to him, you didn't send me money, so we've got nothing to talk about. I put the headphone back on and I just focused on the eye line in front of me. As the train approached, got on the train, did not look at him again. Now, some of you who are too nice will be giving this man free chit chat. A man who was because he leans submissive, right? And the context behind that discussion was he was supposed to send me money. He saw me in the neighborhood doing one of my grocery shops. This would have been probably almost 2 years ago or something. Maybe. No, not 2 years ago. A year ago. He saw me in the neighborhood doing my grocery shop and he recognized me. So he messaged me and he said that he knows I do dominatrix stuff and he's interested in like exploring being a sub. So I was like, you need to send a tribute. At the time, At the time, my tribute fee was only £50, guys. Okay? It was only £50. Now, what a tribute fee is it's a fee that men pay to just acknowledge your superiority. It's a gesture of appreciation. They're not buying a service. They're not entitled to you talking to them. It's just for them to make their intentions solidified. At the time, my tribute fee was £50. Now it's £100, but I think it was £50. I believe what had happened was I directed him to the link where he can pay the £50, and for whatever reason he didn't pay it. I don't know if he was kind of pussyfooting or made an excuse, but to my knowledge, the £50 was not paid. So the fact that he had the nerve to come and be doing chit chat with me, which one is chit chat? You better only be talking to me to tell me that you're going to send the money. So I did not feel bad about putting the headphone back on and just ignoring him, because the music was already playing. I didn't even pause the music. The music was playing, but because I had opened one ear for the headphone, I was allowing the sound coming from his mouth to enter my ear. When I didn't hear what I wanted to hear, put the headphone back on. Noise cancelling is on. Whatever you're saying to me, I cannot hear. I'm not hearing. I'm not going to pause it, and I'm not going to switch off noise cancelling to hear you with my headphones on. No. When you're wearing headphones and men approach you, make an obnoxious effort to emphasize that you're wearing headphones. If you're listening to this on audio, then you're not going to see what I'm about to show as an example. But if you're watching this, I'm putting my AirPod Maxes on now, so you can see what I do when men approach me. Now, if you're watching me, you can see that these headphones are obnoxious, right? It's very obvious that I'm wearing headphones. When a man approaches me, I give a very an audible exhale of that means you've inconvenienced me. And then what I do is I look at them and that means I'm wearing headphones. I'm not about to pause my music and switch off my noise cancelling, because that behaviour implies that I'm even assigning you priority over the music that I'm listening to. It's even worse if you've approached me when I'm getting to the part of the song that's my favourite part of the song. What do you want? What do you want from me? I think that there's something very insensitive and rude about a man who approaches a woman who's wearing headphones. Something about that behaviour implies that he believes he has priority over what you're enjoying. And that's crazy to me, because you don't get to interfere with my vibe when you're not giving me any money. You don't get to do that, because more times than not, when they're approaching you while you're wearing headphones, they're approaching you to see if they can panhandle for some pussy. Spare pussy, please. Hey, you look attractive. Would you like to roll around on an unwashed bedsheet with me? Hey, I saw you and I started to have sexual visualizations about your body. Can I get to know you? Hey, you look like somebody who I'd want to be friends with. Well, the only people who make friends with people based on their appearance is men. That's crazy. You want to be my friend because you like the way my boobs bounce when I walk. That's crazy. What an interesting foundation for a friendship. But some of you lot who are too nice, you'll be so keen to give the benefit of the doubt. What have I told you guys about benefit of doubt? Doubting yourself only benefits who? Men. Learn to start becoming more visibly disinterested when men approach you while you're wearing headphones. Stop being scared to hurt their feelings. You guys, they don't care about your feelings, okay? You think, oh, if I reject him, that's going to ruin his day. Good, because there are consequences for your behaviour. If you slam a Japanese knife over your hand, guess what's going to happen to your fingers? Your finger's going to come off. Yeah, because you went out of your way to slam a sharp knife over your fingers. You could have decided to not do that, but you chose to do that. Now there's a consequence for you slamming a knife over your fingers. You're not going to now seek sympathy from people, are you? You're not going to be like, my finger came off because I got a sharp knife and slammed it over my finger. People are going to be like, well, you chose to slam a knife over your finger, so I think that's Usually the consequence of slamming a knife over your finger. Same thing applies when you approach a woman who's wearing headphones. Don't expect her to be receptive towards you. You guys are too receptive towards these men. If he interrupts your music, then he doesn't deserve your energy. Too nice. You're too fucking nice. Men are having a hard time, so I'm just gonna... No, I don't care. They're having a hard time because that is an outcome of them being shit people. Just like how your finger came off because you slammed the knife over your finger on purpose. Actions create reactions. Actions create consequences. When you're a shit person, women are less likely to want to date you. When you're a shit person, women are less likely to want to stop listening to their music to hear you talk about your little pitch to sleep with them. Especially when that pitch ain't coming with no money. You better wrap that shit up quickly. I got things to do. Off the back of you being too nice. Another reason why you are vulnerable to predators. You're too easily forgiving. Yeah, you're too easily forgiving. You're too ready to, he made the effort to say he's sorry. He wrote me a 4-page letter to say he's sorry. I guess the gesture of him doing that really means a lot because it shows effort. Yeah, he didn't put the effort while he was in the relationship, but surprise, surprise, he's found the ability to put the effort now that you've left him. He put himself in a position to lose you. Focus on that. Don't focus on, the fact that he's written a 4-page letter. Nobody has ever written me a 4-page letter. You should be annoyed that he put himself in a position where he's had to write a 4-page letter. Forget about that fucking tea. Forget about that fucking cup of tea. Forget about that 4-page letter. Why did he put himself in a position where he's got to be writing a 4-page letter? Because more time, he probably cheated. That's why he's writing you that 4-page letter. He probably started ghosting you. My friend, listen. When I stopped being easily forgiving was when I stopped being vulnerable to predators. Because my thing is, I block on the first offense. Now, I still sit on the fence when it comes to blocking because it's a case-by-case basis, right? Some men deserve to be blocked and some men deserve to be phased out. Because blocking carries a different connotation based on the situation that happened with that man, right? So what I mean by that is, if that man decided that he's going to ghost you after he arranged a date with you to take you out, the day before the date, you don't hear anything. The day of the date, it's like past midday, you've not heard a thing. And normally the date is meant to happen in the evening. It's now getting to 2 hours before the date. You've not heard anything. And usually somebody who is excited to go on a date with you, you would wake up to a text message from them saying, really excited for later today. Maybe some hours later, they'll ask you, are we still on for today? So that you're getting ready with the confidence that you're going to see this person. They've not said a word to you. Now, in that situation, I'll block that person because you need to lose my number. You don't need to have my number. You don't need to know me personally. That's done. Next caller. Now, in a situation where I'll phase a man out is if maybe he's kind of like, he's someone who I got to know through like a social hangout or something, and he kind of tried to chat me up. It didn't really go anywhere because he realized that he can't meet my standards and he's not really trying to meet my standards. I'll just phase him out. Like, I don't need to block him, but I simply just will not talk to him again, But when you're too nice and receptive to male attention, you don't know when to get off the fucking horse. Like, just learn when to stop. Men are not going to come and announce to you that it's done. Men are not going to come and say to you, you know what, I attempted to use you and unfortunately it didn't work. So what's going to happen is I am going to cease communication with you because you're not giving me what I need. The thing I need being access to your labia. They're not going to tell you that. What they're going to do is just ghost you and then start watching your stories and send you the odd crumples of attention in the hopes that you will see a like on your story from him and you're going to get an ego stroke and you're going to message him first. They know what they're doing. A lot of these men are watching internet pickup artists. A lot of these men are watching how to manipulate women. A lot of them are reading 48 Laws of Power. The same way you're listening to this podcast is the same way men are listening to Andrew Tate and all these other internet influencers who cater to men's egos and tell men, oh, as a man, here's what you need to do, bro. Yeah? If you like a chick, don't give her any attention. Just like occasionally watch her stories so that you can start planting a seed in her subconscious. And then she's going to associate you with dopamine, because people get a dopamine rush when their story gets liked by someone, especially when it's a guy who there's like an ambiguous connection with. And then from there, you might message her, but then don't keep the conversation going. Make her be the one that chases. A lot of men, you'll be so surprised. Listen, if you were to go to a man's phone now and open his YouTube, yeah, and you go to the search bar, you know how the search bar will bring up suggestions based on what you've searched in the past, or the YouTube homepage will suggest videos for you based on what your algorithm assumes that you're likely to be interested in according to what you have recently been watching. So if you go to that man's YouTube and his homepage is showing video, how to manipulate women, 10 reasons why you need to trick women, Andrew Tate. Like, if you're seeing all of that, go. Okay? Wrap it up, girl. That's a predator. That's someone who is using you as material to practice being a wannabe pickup artist, because he doesn't have the actual resources to just be a provider and actually be useful to a woman's life. When men know they can't be what you need, they will just use reverse psychology tactics to try and get you to chase them so that you feel like you need them. Once you know these things and you see them for what they are, you can't be tricked. That's why men really despise me having this podcast. They would hang me if they could, but they can't. So what they do is they camp in my comments and tell me that I'm misleading women into being single. It's funny that they assume that if I encourage women to have higher self-esteem, then that automatically means that I am leading women to be single. So you agree then that if a woman has high self-esteem, she wouldn't date men unless it benefits her. So you agree then. Oh, guys. This leads to the next point I want to make about what makes you vulnerable to predators. When you like male attention, you need to train yourself to only like male attention that comes with a benefit to you. Ideally, a financial benefit. You can't be liking male attention for the sake of the male attention. Men literally give children sexual attention. That's why they're literally marrying young girls. Like, you need to rise above the rush you get from men craving you. They also crave dead bodies. These are people who sleep with animals, bro. Like, oh, he's giving me attention. He's a rapper and he's giving me attention. Girl, you know what's funny? Yeah, sometimes these rappers get their DMs exposed, and then you see the women that they were talking to. And look, I don't want to come for a woman's looks. What I'll say is that those women are not what you'd expect them to look like according to the pedestal you've put that rapper on. That's what I'm going to say. And I'm saying that to say that you think that there's a high standard that this man is going to have because he's a rapper. He's on a pedestal that you've put him on. That doesn't mean that he has high standards, though. He likes attention from women. He likes sexual availability from women. So if a woman's willing to make herself sexually available to him, he's going to go for it. So when you like male attention, you're more vulnerable to predators. I've seen strong soldiers collapse on the battlefield, guys. I have seen beautiful, smart, intelligent women with high prospects and a bright future get taken out of the game. Chai! A moment of silence for our fallen soldiers, guys. Thank you. Thank you, because so many bad bitches have fallen on the battlefield. Oh my God. Oh, guys. Hey, I've reached a stage where I start to now feel anxiety when I talk to women who are married. The women that I fear the most are married women, because there's a visceral response they have to my work. They are so ready to defend their situation because they know that they settled for something really bad and it's kind of too late to come out. And then here I come being like, oh, personally, I wouldn't have that. They're looking at me like I'm covered in scabies. like that lady I was telling you who I was having a conversation with much earlier in this podcast, where I was saying that me and her were having a conversation and I was saying that if my man lost all his money, he loses me too. And she was looking at me like, what a heartless human being. She never said it, but I could see it in her face. And the conversation was making me uncomfortable. Now, I want to share something with you guys, yeah? The same way my views make you uncomfortable if you're tolerating something that I am vehemently against, I feel really uncomfortable saying it to you guys because I feel socially ostracized in that moment. It goes back to me talking about one of my traits is I'm a very empathetic person. You might not believe it, you might not agree, but I'm a very empathetic person. So I can pick up on when someone disagrees with me and they're trying to be diplomatic, because I'm a Libra rising, right? And Libra as a sign, we are the diplomats of the zodiac. We are agreeable. We're very malleable. We want peace. We want to be liked. So we're not really, even though we like to play devil's advocate and we like to argue, what makes us really annoying is that we won't pick a side. But then another trait that Libra have is when people disagree with us, we feel really uncomfortable because it's like, oh, this is awkward. Now, because I'm a Sagittarius sun with a Libra rising, I feel uncomfortable because I'm not changing my mind. I know why I have this outlook. I have studied and worked for this outlook. Whereas you're just going off of emotions and being defensive of a situation that you've settled for that you have not really interrogated. So when this lady was feeling uncomfortable towards me, I was feeling uncomfortable about her feeling uncomfortable, because the Libra in me wants people to feel comfortable. But it's like, I don't know what to do about this. But I don't like discussing my views with most women. These days, what I now do is when I'm speaking to women, I can tell from the first interaction whether she's likely to even be drinking from the same jug as me. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, sometimes I come across women and from a brief conversation with them, oh yeah, this is going to be one of those like male apologists. This is going to be one of those women who she's not going to take my ideas very well. So do you know what I do? And thank God for being a Libra rising, because you guys would have been, if you hate me now, you would have hated me even more if I was an Aries rising. You better thank your God. Thank your God that I have a Libra rising. Thank your God. Because that could have been a lot worse. Because Aries rising, impatient, direct, sharp, boisterous. These are not negative traits. They're just traits, right? But with the Libra rising, when I come across women who I can just tell that they're not going to like how I sound, I know how to mirror people without compromising on my own internal values. I know how to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah. Oh, you like broke men? Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's focus on the positives. I love a let's focus on the positives type of tea. I love it. Listen, when I know that you're not going to change your mind and I can see that you're too far gone, you're so far gone, yeah, that like there's no point in me having this discussion with you, I will just focus on the positives. Oh, you're broke boyfriend and you have a broke boyfriend and you're the breadwinner. Oh, wow, you're so empowered. Tell me more about that. Oh, he's a stay-at-home dad to your cat. Oh, that's really interesting. What kind of cat do you have? Oh, wow, Fluffy. Oh, I wish I wasn't allergic to cats. Wow, that must be so comforting. Like, every time you put the key in the door and you come home after a long day of work, he's there. He's always there to support you, give you a hug, right? That's so nice. So how did you meet? Oh, you met him on a course 3 years ago. So you guys have been dating for what, 3 years, I'm guessing? Wow. So what's your favorite trait about him? That he's understanding and he keeps you company and that he's funny. Oh, that's so nice. What do you think he likes the most about you? Can you see how I'm entertaining that? What do you think he likes the most about you? He likes that you're hardworking. I'm sure he likes that you're hardworking. Oh, he likes that you're hardworking. Oh, what else does he like about you? Oh, that's really good to hear that he's encouraging. Yeah, it's so important to date a partner that encourages you. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine dating a man that doesn't want to see me flourish. So can you see how I'm being diplomatic and pandering to what that woman wants to hear? Because if I now say to her, you're dating a man who is not working and he's a stay-at-home dad to your cat. Wait. There's a man in your house. He's not paying rent. You said he's having a hard time. He's been having a hard time for the whole duration of you guys being together. I think he is the hard time, girl. I don't think he's having a hard time. I think he's the hard time. I think you need to get out of that, girl. He's definitely using you. I'm not going to say that because, first of all, you didn't ask for my opinion. 2, a lot of women are happy in their dysfunction. And, there are some predators that are benevolent, right? Like, when I say benevolent predator, what I mean is there are men who will target you because they need somewhere to stay. They're not trying to assault you or steal from you. They just want access to shelter. Okay? That's what I'll call a benevolent predator. Okay? They want to just have shelter and maybe they'll cook you food here and there and finger you. Now, it's benevolent because, at least he's not hitting you, right? At least you've got a man in the house to give you emotional support. Yeah. You guys are you're taking it out of me, man. Sometimes I wish I didn't have this podcast. I'm going to be so real with you. The reason why I say that is because it's really annoying having to convince women that they deserve more. When I find myself in like a heated debate with a woman and the debate is only heated because I'm saying that women deserve more and they're like, yeah, but what about love? I'm like, girl, this is flaring up my hives. When I get stressed, fun fact, when I get stressed, my tattoos get inflamed. Like my tattoos become raised in my skin and they become itchy. It's like I suddenly develop an allergy to my tattoos when I get stressed. Anybody who's got a lot of tattoos, I know you can relate to this to some degree. Anyway, when I start to feel, can you hear that noise? ASMR. When I start to feel like my wrist getting itchy, it's because my tattoo that goes over my wrist is starting to raise and it's becoming inflamed. That's how I know I'm getting stressed. And I normally get stressed when I'm debating women and the debate is about me saying that we should expect more from men. They're like, no, we shouldn't expect more from men. They're giving us what they've got. It's like, yeah, but that's the problem though. You're letting them just give you what they've got. They should go and get more before they come to you. And you're telling me that sounds unreasonable. This is why you guys end up with predators, guys. You're doubting your own discernment. You're being too moral. You're leading with morals. Men don't lead with morals. They lead with their selfish desires. You can have morals and also have a clear outlook and vision for what you want your life to look like. And if that man can't fit into it, that's his problem, innit? Everyone can't have everything that they want. Yeah? You are an experience. If you put yourself on the discount aisle, then you're going to get people who like haggling in it because you've already put yourself in a position where there's already a discount so they can negotiate for even less. And I know someone will hear that and push back and argue that women are not objects to be bought. And I completely agree. Yet at the same time, men see you as objects to be bought. Men see you as objects to invest in or not invest in. Men see you as objects to conquer and pursue and hopefully own. It's not about how you see yourself. It's about how men see you. If you're choosing to date men, you need to understand how they view you. I keep on saying this. You need to see yourself how men see you, because how men see you governs how they're going to treat you. So if you know that a man sees you as somebody that he can use, he's likely to treat you like somebody who he can use. If you know a man sees you as somebody who he has to put a lot of effort into earning your grace and attention and time, he's going to treat you in that way, and you will see it in his actions. But you don't have to listen to me though. What you can do, if you want to hear more sentiments of this nature, is to join my Patreon. Did you know I have a Patreon? Do you know what Patreon is? Let me put you on. So Patreon is a platform where people can subscribe to extra bonus content provided by their favorite creators behind a paywall. So the reason I created my Patreon is because I wanted to create a place where, first of all, anybody who's there is not in the comments tearing people's lace wigs, arguing over shit, fighting over views they don't agree with. Because if you're paying to be here on the Patreon, it's because you want to be here. Patreon.com/theslumflower is the place to go if you are interested in being involved in a fire-ass group chat that moves at the speed of light. And it only moves at the speed of light because there's always women who are ready to jump in and give you moral support. It's reached a stage where I don't have to say anything in the group chat anymore because you guys just take the words out my mouth. Like someone the other day was in the group chat talking about, oh, they met this guy and he seemed really nice and he's a provider and they're just feeling nervous and they don't really know how to like vocalize their needs. And then the women in the group chat just jumped in and were like, girl, you got this. You're beautiful. You've attracted him for a reason. Say this to him, say that to him. And it's just like, oh my God, you guys, this is amazing to see. Now, aside from the fire-ass group chat that is full of a community of hot and smart and brave women, you get access to bonus episodes. You get access to this thing that I've really been enjoying doing where, you know that friend who sends you a 20-minute voice note? Yeah, for a long time I was that friend, but I've had to stop doing that because 20 minutes is a lot for a voice note. But on the Patreon, we have that kind of relationship where I can send you guys a 20-minute voice note where I'm just like, you know what? Can we talk about this thing? It's hot in my mind and I want to talk about it. I need to tell you this now. I'm not going to wait to get to the studio. I need to tell you this now. Like, this just happened to me now. Can you imagine? Like, I love doing that. I love sharing, like, real-time scenarios that I'm dealing with men. Because remember, I always say that no matter how evolved you are as a woman, men are always going to try you. They're always going to see what they can get away with. They want to see if they can bend you because it's satisfying to bend a woman who is rigid and refined as opposed to a woman who is like, take me, use me, choose me. Aside from the fun voice note thing I've got going on and the bonus episodes, you also get access to a 64-page guide called the Dilemma Manual, where if that name isn't self-explanatory enough, the Dilemma Manual includes some anonymized dilemmas that you guys have sent in. And I basically talk about how I would handle that scenario in long-form essay format for those who like to read. I also do sometimes share some essays on there that caters to those who enjoy the more reading side of things. I love having the Patreon. Genuinely, it's such a great place. There is so many of you in there and it's a great place to be a disobedient deviant. And that's what the name of the tier is. So Patreon has a tiered system where you can have like 3 tiers that are priced differently depending on what perks people are getting. My Patreon only has 1 tier and it's priced at £10 a month or $10 a month depending on your currency. It's £10 a month. Because I want this to be accessible, right? I want this to be something that at least more people can access it than if I was to make it higher. A lot of people have advised me to price it higher. But I don't really want to do that because I love knowing that you guys are able to access something that you might otherwise not be able to get anywhere else. You know, like I'm aware that my corner of the internet is a very unique and special corner of the internet. There is no one doing what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it. And I really want this to reach as many people who need it and want it. So if you're interested, patreon.com/theslumflower. Thank you, as always. Now let's continue talking about traits that make you vulnerable to predators, because we have just discussed doubting your discernment, being too moral, being too fixated on goodness is another one. Over-identifying with being a good person. I don't see men caring about being a good person. I don't see that at all. But yet you value that. And do you get a return on that value? Do you get rewarded for being this good person you speak of? Huh? I want you to think about that. Another one is you're cautious to offend. You don't want to offend men. It's like what I was talking about earlier with wearing headphones and a man comes to interrupt your music. If you interrupt someone, be prepared to get a hostile response. If you slap someone in the head when they're walking in the street, don't expect them to turn around and smile at you. Why is it that when men do things that would warrant a reaction that would be expected to be, why is this person doing this? This person's inconveniencing me. Why are we expected to still be nice? If you interrupt my music, I'm not going to be smiling at you. I'm going to be like, what? What? You got to stretch that T. What? Me, I even do what? Because first, I'll tap on the headphone. Go, so you can see. I'm wearing headphones. If I can still see your lips moving, then I'm going to assume you got something urgent to tell me. Did I drop my wallet on the floor? Is my pad leaking? Of course not, because men aren't going to come and tap and tell you that your pad's leaking. My pad is not leaking. I'm wearing a tampon. So what do you want? What? You want to tell me that you think I'm pretty? Keep that thought to yourself. Oh. Another one is you want to be liked. You guys don't understand that stranger danger is more than just following somebody in the road. Stranger danger is more than giving somebody your number because they asked you to. Stranger danger is you want to be liked by people who you don't even know. You got to be careful with that, because the wrong people can like you. Listen, yeah, as someone who gets a lot of criticism on the internet from people who I don't care about, I would be worried if certain people started to suddenly agree with me. I would be alarmed if certain people were suddenly turn around and be celebrating me, because those are the same people who, they don't meet my standard of who my intended audience is. I don't expect people who date broke men because that's the best they can do to like my content. You couldn't ever relate. You're not the target audience. Don't worry. You date your broke men in peace, because realistically speaking, who's going to keep the broke men busy? You guys who love broke men, you need to date them so that they can stop coming to us to neg us and trying to knock us down from the top shelf that they can't reach. That's why they're using a fucking hanger to poke at us from the top shelf so we can come down into their level. You love broke men, date your broke men. I don't need you to agree with me, because you're not built to think like me. You're not built to have the self-esteem I have. No, you're not, because you like men more than you like oxygen. So stay over there. Now, if those type of people suddenly started agreeing with me, something is wrong here. Something is off here. I don't want to be liked by everyone. I'm not for everyone. Sometimes when people can't have something, they criticize it to make themselves feel better about not being able to afford it or not being good enough to be considered by it. But when they're suddenly able to afford it, that's when their view on it changes. So yes, I am prepared to not be liked by certain men. There are men who I know that they don't like me because I don't make myself available to them in the way that they're used to. They don't like me because the game they usually run on women that works for them doesn't work over here. And I'm low-key triggering some sort of identity crisis. They don't like me because I expect a return on the value I bring to their life by existing in proximity to them. They don't like that they have to put in effort to be around me. They don't like that because most men don't like women. They like having sexual access to us. The sooner you guys realize that, the sooner you'll be free. You guys keep putting other people first. You keep putting men first. That's making you vulnerable to predators. Now, another one. This one is a serious one. Another one that makes you vulnerable to predators is you're conflict avoidant. And as somebody that has Libra placements, I'm a Libra rising. I know this all too well. You might not agree with me. I don't like conflict, guys. I don't enjoy conflict. But if I'm put in a position where I got to pull up and stand up for myself, I will start that conflict. Ask about me, bro. If you know, then you know. But what I'm saying is, when you fear conflict, what happens is that you don't speak up for your needs. People disrespect you and you keep quiet because you don't want to spoil the vibe. No, spoil the vibe. Remember what I said about consequences. If you're playing with a Japanese knife and you throw it and it lands on your hand and the tip of your finger comes off, that's what you get for playing with a sharp knife. It's a consequence. It's an outcome of a dangerous decision that you chose to make, knowing fully well that there are risks involved. You threw that knife on your hand and surprise, surprise, the tip of your finger has come off. Good. Next time, don't throw the knife on your hand. You knew better, but you didn't do better. In the same way, if someone creates an environment where you feel uncomfortable, if someone says something that results in you looking at them differently, that is an outcome for their behaviour. Actions create reactions. But you guys be trying to protect men from the consequences of their own behaviour. And you wonder why you're attracting predators. Okay. That's what men use to identify potential victims. They want to see if you're willing to bend reality for them. Because part of bending reality is refusing to administer consequences where consequences are due. That's not how the real world works. If a man decides to be negligent, then the consequence will be that he loses the closeness that he worked hard to get with you. He's going to have to work his way back up. If a man asks you out on a date and he doesn't show up, then he has ruined his opportunity to get to know you. He's blocked. He's cut off. So why are you so scared of conflict? Is it because you're scared that you will have to make a decision? You would rather the thing just goes away by itself. No, it's not going to go away by itself. It will get worse, actually. Men get worse when you ignore their behaviour, by the way, because what they see is, oh, she's letting the snowball form. She's not interfering. She's not stopping me. You need to learn to say stop to men. And sometimes saying stop is blocking them. You don't have to give men a lecture on, hey, I said you need to stop and you didn't stop. You know, when you don't stop, it makes me feel excited. All this over-explaining your feelings. Brother, please. I don't even be over-explaining anymore because most things are self-explanatory. Men know that there's going to be an outcome for their choices. Like what I said about throwing the knife on your hand. If you play with a knife, you're likely to get cut. So if a man decides that he's going to take the chance of pissing you off, he knows there's going to be some sort of outcome. Now, depending on what he's observed about you, he might think you're one of the nice girls who is not going to be reactive and who's going to just, oh, maybe he was having a hard day. Oh, maybe he didn't know better. Oh, maybe he just, maybe. They rely on you maybeing and speculating on their intentions rather than you just taking the behavior for what it is. Because you love to see the good in people, and that is another trait that makes you vulnerable to predators. You like to see the good in people. Why are you insisting upon seeing the good in a man who isn't even showing you that goodness? Where? Where is the good? Where is it? I can't see. Where? What do you mean I see the good in him? Whole time he ain't even treating you good. But so where is the good you see? You guys are scaring me, man. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. Okay, well, we'll see where that lands you. Focus on the good, my thoughts. Nope. I'm not focusing on anything that is not right in front of me. If the goodness is not in the room with us right now, it doesn't exist. Next caller. The fuck? Now, another trait that makes you vulnerable to predators. This one, I feel passionate about this. When you're religious, I'm going to expand on that. Don't worry. You see a lot that God, let me say this carefully. But what I'm trying to say is, look, when you're hyper religious, you follow the dogma. You're very much, especially like Abrahamic religion. Like, I'm really focusing on Christianity here. Like, you're proper Christian, like born again. Oh my God, I'm going, yeah, girl, you should be careful. Men are going to take advantage of you. Talking about I want to be, what did they call it? Is it Ruth? The wife, Ruth, in the Bible. Oh, I want to be a Psalm's wife. What's that psalm? Hey, Jesus. Can you tell that I don't read the Bible? Can you tell that I'm not Christian? Whilst I believe in God and I have a very personal, deep connection with God, I don't follow Abrahamic religion. So what's that wife? There's like an archetype of a wife that's in the Bible that people love to quote, and they love to model their pick-meism on that. That's the super pick-me template right there. Men target women who are hyper-religious because you're easier to take advantage of. It's like the best template for men to target religious women. Honestly, guys, religious women are the easiest template for men to target because there is already a framework and a structure that is enforced upon women, and religion justifies that limitation that we're supposed to exist within, where you need to be a good wife, where you need to be a super pick-me, where you need to make yourself as approachable as possible for a man. Your whole life revolves around you marketing yourself towards prospective husbands. Your entire adult portion of your life is lived in the direction of hopefully being a wife. That makes you very vulnerable to predators. There are men who love to dangle marriage as a tool for abuse because when you pedestalize marriage, men know they can use that to lure you in. And what they're luring you into? Abuse. Taking advantage of you. And because your family reinforces that same thing, everyone around you is pushing the same messaging that you need to be a wife. When will you marry? Yes, because that's why they position marriage as the main event of your life. That's why as a woman, if you care about marriage, you need to care about assets. As a woman, if you care about marriage, you need to care about money. As a woman, if you care about marriage, you need to care about properties. If you care about marriage, you need to care about legal education. If you care about marriage, you need to care about advocating for yourself. Yes. If you're going to be a super pick-me that's, marriage is the main event of my life, then make sure properties is in your name. Make sure money is in your name. Make sure that man is legally setting you up for the best future possible. It's the least he could do if he loves you. Or else you are holding that bouquet, and as you walk down the aisle, you're walking into your prison. But because you're wearing a white dress and holding a bouquet, instead of wearing an orange jumpsuit with handcuffs, you don't see it as prison. It's the same thing, babe. Imprisoned by a man. And it's legally reinforced through the paperwork of marriage. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Another thing that makes you vulnerable to predators. I'm a hopeless romantic. Sorry, can we abolish this phrase? Because I'm just asking nicely, yeah? Don't fight me. Can we abolish this hopeless romantic phrase? Why are you hopeless? Why does hopeless and romantic need to be in the same phrase? Why have you not got hope again? What happened? Why are you hopeless romantic? I'm scared, guys. Hopeless romantic. Yeah, that's the pipeline to getting taken advantage of. I'm a hopeless romantic. I believe in love. I believe we need to fight for what matters to us. If it's meant to be, it will be. They said, when you send the bird away, if it flies back, it was meant to be yours. When you flick the boomerang, if the boomerang comes back, it was yours. Yeah. When you cut a man off, if he comes back, I guess he's yours because he's circling the block because everyone else rejected him. I guess. What do you mean hopeless romantic? What do you mean I'm a sucker for love? Huh? What do you mean by sucker for love? Huh? You see, this language is so disempowering. Language matters, guys. You're a hopeless romantic. Why are you hopeless? What happened to you? This is how abusers target you, bro. Because look, how come when a man says he's a hopeless romantic, why ain't he hopelessly paying bills? Why ain't he hopelessly giving me money? Hopeless romantic. You're writing me poems. You should summarize that poem in the notes you're going to attach to the money you're sending me. Yeah? Or you can do both. You can write me a poem basically detailing that you've left something romantic for me in my Barclays. I should go and check my Barclays. You guys think this is a joke. This is not a skit. This is not comedy. This is not sarcasm. I'm being dead serious. If it ain't financial, I'm not receiving it as romance. I'm receiving it as lip service. Next caller. If you're someone who's got the energy of feeling sorry for yourself, you're insecure. Oh, nobody wants to date me. Oh, I'm unattractive. This is why I'm very against you guys calling yourselves unattractive. Why would you do that? If you believe that you're unattractive, keep that information to yourself. Don't say it out loud to men. You think that telling a man that you're unattractive means he's going to reassure you and tell you, no, I think you're pretty. No. He's leveraging that power to take advantage of you. Stop telling men that you feel insecure about your appearance. They're going to now use positive reinforcement and encouragement as a way to take advantage of you. Because when they now start reassuring you, no, you are beautiful. No, I do find you attractive. Look, see, I've got a hard on for you. Look, see, that must mean that you're attractive, clearly. And you being a woman who has low self-esteem, if a man has a hard on for you, then you're going to be like, well, I guess he finds me attractive, right? Men will have a hard on for anything. Please stand up. But it's like, is that it? Okay, he's attracted to you. Now what? Because when you're not attracted to yourself, and when you find yourself ugly, the reason why that makes you more vulnerable to predators is because men target women who have low self-esteem. And when you have low self-esteem, you have lower standards. And when you have lower standards, you're willing to tolerate a lower quality of life of a man because at least I've got a man, right? That's what you tell yourself. At least there's a man. At least someone has picked me, so I can't be that ugly. Girl, if you're in that place, you should not be dating. You need to be attracted to yourself to enough of a degree where a man being attracted to you is almost like he's joining the club. Like, yeah, of course you're attracted to me. I'm hot. Duh. Now, another one that I can't stand it when you guys say this. Oh, I'm on a healing journey. There's levels to this shit, right? If you're healing from surviving an abusive household and you've cut off some toxic family members, that's different to, oh, I'm healing from my situationship. Language matters. Healing? What injury did you sustain in this situationship? An ego injury. Look, ego injury can be overcome by just recognizing the facts for what they are and being more conscious of how your ego works. What is your ego responsive to? I don't want to hear this, I'm healing. Stop telling me you're healing. Unless you've come out of surgery or you survived a physical injury, stop telling men that you're healing. Because they will target you in that place. They will target you by telling you what you want to hear. Some of them will even go as far as sending you motivational quotes. They will really want to start grooming you into seeing them as a source of support and encouragement and motivation so that you can somewhat fall in love with them. Because when you're healing, you're in a vulnerable place. And when you're in a vulnerable place, your decision making is not as clear as it should be. That's why I hate this healing thing. And also, words mean things, right? So, like, you could have survived an abusive relationship with a man. But even though, yes, on the inside you are healing and you're recovering and you're now developing tools to not experience that again, that doesn't need to be your narrative that you tell people, especially men. Stop telling men that you're healing. What you should do is, if you've just come out of an abusive relationship, first of all, I don't think you should be dating. But if you're entertaining the attention that comes from men, you need to tell them a rebranded and idealized version of that story. So, for example, let's say your last relationship was abusive. Like, he was going into your phone without your permission. He was not allowing you to leave the house. Like, he would physically hold on to your phone so you can't leave. Or he was verbally attacking you, maybe even sometimes getting physical. It's an abusive relationship for what it is, right? You can tell that man a complete opposite version of that story. Tell him the fantasy of what you wanted that relationship to be, but you're not telling it like it's a fantasy. You're telling it like that's actually what happened. So I would be like, the last guy I dated, he was such a gentleman. He pampered and spoiled me a lot. He really reminded me of the princess treatment that I'm used to getting, but it was different with him because he really knew what to do as a man. And yeah, while things were good, they were great. But I mean, we ended on good terms. He had to move to a whole other country for his job, and he wanted me to move with him. He wanted to marry me, but I was just not ready to leave my life behind. So we had to just mutually agree to let it go. He's in a completely different time zone, somewhere else in the world. We don't speak anymore, but I'm pretty sure that there's a lovely lady who gets to enjoy his gentleman self. So you're positive, you're lighthearted about it, and the story you're telling is reinforcing the idea that you are used to princess treatment, that you're used to a man being a gentleman, and that you don't know anything about no abuse. What's abuse? Never heard of it, never experienced it. Because when you tell men that you were abused, you're letting them know what you have a tolerance for. It doesn't matter if you're staunchly against being abused and you never want to be experiencing that again. They know that you have a tolerance for it because to some degree you allowed it. And I'm being very conscious of that word because I know someone's going to say that's victim blaming. Remember what I said at the beginning of this podcast episode. The truth will piss you off and then it will set you free. We need to acknowledge accountability. This episode is part of the harm reduction that I believe women need to be more educated on when avoiding abusive relationships. We need to acknowledge the role we play in how we view ourselves that makes us more vulnerable to abusers being able to penetrate our mental force field. It starts with the story you tell yourself, and it starts also with a story that you tell about yourself. That's what you have control over. Accountability is about identifying what you can control. It's not about ruminating on what you couldn't control and what this person did to you. No, this is about when I rewind the story and I revisit the events and the choices made with a fine-tooth comb, can I separate between decisions that I made and decisions the other person made based on their observation of me and the choices that I made in my life? So when you focus on the decisions that you made, those decisions include how you view yourself, how you talk about yourself to other people, what you believe you should tolerate. Those are 3 factors that are within your control to start working on if you've not worked on it already. If you're not working on those things, you're more susceptible to predators. This is not about pointing the finger at you and shaming you. This is about helping protect you from being a potential victim to abusers who look for and target women who have low self-esteem. They target women who have a pattern for being abused. Most abusers are not going to start out abusive. They're going to start out like a savior. They're going to start out as some sort of like, oh, I want to be the difference in your life. I want to be the person that shows you deserve better. And then once they notice that you're comfortable, oh yeah, turn up the heat. Quickly. Now the last reason that I want to give as to what makes you vulnerable to predators is being a successful woman. Actually, I thought this would be a good one to end this episode on. Being a successful woman actually makes you vulnerable to predators because people want to neg you. People want to debate you. And you usually feel this sense of, I have everything except a man. And you feel like you're the problem. You're not the problem, but there are things you're going to have to make peace with that you're not going to want to hear. And that is that the more successful you become, the fewer your options that you'll have in the form of men, because most men are not willing to get up and meet you on the top shelf. They want you to come down to where they are. And a lot of men, their egos are so fragile that they need you to think a little bit lower of yourself so they can feel like a man, rather than them just working harder to build better self-esteem through achievements and success, because that's how men view themselves. It doesn't matter how much we talk about, oh, men shouldn't view themselves through their success. Men shouldn't view themselves through their money. They choose to, and they do so. So when you're a successful woman, you are a target for men who want to debate you and neg you. If you've not already heard me talk about negging is when a man tries to chip away at your self-esteem in passive ways. For example, you write a song and you play it for him. He'll be like, oh, this is nice, but I feel like your vocals aren't really that good on this part. Oh, this is nice, but I think you need guitar lessons, like the way that you're playing it just sounds a bit, I don't know, there's something about it that's off. They always want to just throw in a but. They just want to throw in some doubt. When you're successful, men will do that. When you're successful, men will want to see if they can use reverse psychology to get you to chase them. And if you fall into that and you start chasing them, you're more than likely dealing with someone who's a predator. And remember, not all predators are out to kill you. It depends on what they want to get from you. Some predators just like using women to siphon their energy. Some predators like using women to have sex with them. Some predators like using women for money. When you're successful, your perspective on money changes dramatically. Oftentimes, if you've got a lot of money, you're more likely to be like, oh, I don't mind supporting someone else. I don't mind supporting my man. I don't mind splitting bills. You have to mind. Mind yourself. Mind it. Be mindful. What do you mean? Oh, I've got a lot of money, so I don't mind. Because you guys are impatient. And the you guys I'm talking about is successful women who get scared and burnt out from trying to date. Successful women don't belong on dating apps. I'm going to be so real with you. Successful women, i.e. women who are high earners, women who are influential enough to be recognized as like public figures or celebrities, you don't belong on a dating app. You need to make sure that if you are going to be putting yourself out there to date and you're moving through the world with an attitude of openness to new connections with men that might resonate with you, then make sure that that openness only exists when you're in environments that match the context of the kind of man you want to be around. So if you're at specific events where only certain types of people are invited, that's where you should maybe explore that openness more. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying you need to go to industry events to go and date. I'm saying that that's the place where you're more likely to meet men of your kind. Yeah, not dating apps. Dating apps, you're going to be meeting men who want to neg you, men who want to split bills with you, men who hope that you have low enough self-esteem to shoehorn them into your life. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I don't care that you fear, oh, but I'm so successful, will I ever meet someone? Okay, let's entertain that. You might not meet the one. Next. Like, okay, if you don't meet the one, does that mean you're going to die? Does that mean that you're not going to continue living your life then? Does that mean then that this is it? You're done. Is a man really that important to you? Because if your image of the one is a man, that's a very, very high pedestal to put a man on. Does a man deserve to be on that pedestal? I'm not saying he needs to date women. I'm just saying neutralize the gravity that not meeting the one carries in your mind. Okay, you might not meet the one. See, you didn't die. You see, notice how you're still alive. Notice how your boobs are still as soft as they were before you found out you're not going to meet the one. Notice how you still have the same zest for life. Yeah, you might be a little disappointed to hear that you might not meet the one, but you didn't die. Get over it. Let that be your next journey. Let that be your next pilgrimage that you go on by yourself. I'm on a pilgrimage to acceptance that I'm not going to meet the one. Because what will happen is you accept that you're not going to meet the one, and then guess what? You meet people that you resonate with. You meet multiple men that get you, and they're earning more than you. They're generous. They want to see you win. They want to fan your flame. It could be better than you even envisioned. But for you to even get to that stage, you need to mentally make peace with not meeting the one so that you can release that weird, desperate energy. That desperation is not serving you. It is hindering you and it's putting you in danger. Okay? I'm going to wrap it here because this is a very long episode. But it needed to be this long because the fucking Rolodex, the list I've had to go through of traits that make you vulnerable to men, girl, we got to do a part 2. I ain't done, but I want to be done because we're like almost 2 hours in here. But I just want to say thank you as always for listening to this episode. I would like to ask that if you enjoyed this episode and the episode before that, and maybe the episode before that, then would you consider giving the Slumflower Hour podcast a 5-star rating on the platform you stream on? The reason why is because when you give it a 5-star rating, it boosts the visibility of the podcast, meaning more people like yourself discover the podcast, which in turn means that it will be more normalized for women to think in the way we do. Therefore, you will not feel like a giraffe in a room full of flamingos when you're talking about your dating standards. People aren't going to look at you like you're crazy because they are down with the shits too. Because their algorithm recommended the Slumflower Hour podcast to them thanks to people like you giving it a 5-star rating. Let's normalize a world where women think so highly of themselves that they are not concerned with coming down from the top shelf to meet men who don't want to fucking climb. And with that, let's wrap this here. Thank you for listening. And as always, I'll catch you in the next episode.